All right, so this will be my first YouTube long form content that, hopefully does pretty good, and we're going to see how it goes. And so we are going to start with quick introductions before I do, the two topics that I wanted to talk about. So I am Larry Flores Barrier, but a lot of people know me as the Lord of Lips. I got that from doing a lot of chapstick content, and so I'm an E8 in the military. I just, I pretty much make mill news, I make skits, I make stitches, I do all of it, all right? I'm what you'd call, I guess, a mill influencer. But anyway, we're going to move forward. So in these long form videos, I figured I'd go more into detail, right, with things. I don't really have a script in front of me that I'm like reading, right? This is all just off the head, raw things. In future videos, I might just do, once a week where I talk about, what's going on with military related news throughout the previous week. I might do some military history, and I plan to do, videos where I just talk like this to, to you guys and give you my insights and views on, what's going on with whatever topic we do discuss, because I feel that done a thing or two and seen a thing or two. So figured I'd just give my 2 cents on here. All right, so the two topics I want to talk about are taking ownership, right, and my favorite brand of military boots. I'm choosing these two topics because I've gotten asked a bunch in my DMs, on Instagram, TikTok, on, what are my favorite type of boots to wear in the military. And, I recently made a video about, taking ownership, and had a lot of soldiers reach out on that, and if I could elaborate. So we're going to talk about them. And so what do I mean by taking ownership? And so this is something I've struggled with in my military career, right? Like I will give you an example. Now I want you to go back to a time where you had an unpopular decision given to you, whether it was at the platoon level, company level, battalion level, etc. And I'll give you a quick example off the top of my head. Let's just go with, instead of just regular normal maintenance Mondays, right? Your company command team now wants the whole company to go out to the motor pool, and, instead of letting the platoons handle it, now the company wants to hold it at the company level, right, and have the XO call out the item, and then all the platoons have to grab one item and show it, right? Like something crazy like that. And so all I'm saying is think of something that, soldiers are going to turn around and be like, what? Why? That's dumb. And so that is really hard to deal with, like, because you got two things that you could do. So one, you could turn around and say it's because company leadership said so, right? So you could do this in one of two ways. So if you were at the platoon sergeant PL level, you could turn around to your soldiers and tell them because the company command team said so. Or you could turn around and say, because I'm saying so. And I would highly recommend adding more detail and understanding to why we are doing it, right? But I don't recommend doing the first choice, which is just because someone higher than me said so. Why? Is because you don't take ownership of that. And when you don't do that, right, you're creating this kind of tension between the soldiers beneath you and the company command team above you, right? And so now they're going to be like, oh, well, the company command team's trash, et cetera, et cetera. And then they'll also look at you, right, in the middle as not having a backbone. Like if all you do every time something comes out is saying, because my higher said we have to do this, right, instead of just owning it, like it's going to create a perception. Like someone's got to be the bad news bearer, right? And it's not necessarily bad news. It's just, we got to do something that people aren't going to like. And so I think there is an art to it. And yeah, now I've talked about taking ownership on that side when it comes to, getting guidance, right? Now let's talk about taking ownership as an individual. And so what I mean by that is it is really easy to just, when something messes up, right? You didn't make a timeline, you didn't bring the right things out, or, something happened to where obviously it's a problem, right? It's real easy to say, well, it's because this soldier did that, or, my higher did this. Stop. And so the best way to take ownership when it comes to that is just own up. Like, it's my fault. If my team, if my squad, right? If I was a squad leader, if I was a platoon sergeant, something happened in my platoon and my company commander or whoever's going to be pissed, it's my fault. I'm the one who messed it up. Like, I get it, right? Especially if you didn't mess up as an individual, but that team, that squad, that platoon, that is yours, right? And if they messed it up, right, that's on you. And you gotta learn to be comfortable with saying, I messed up. And trust me, the worst thing you definitely don't want to do is knowing that you messed up and then trying to say 100 other reasons on why you didn't meet the standard. Because soldiers see that and they see everything. And the minute they catch you doing something like that, that is going to take away so much credibility from you. And so now I'm going to give you an example. This actually happened to me, real life, right? Real life example on my most recent deployment. But basically, I was deployed to a location in the Middle East, right? I'm not going to name it. But essentially, we were tasked with running a range, right? And, I've run plenty of ranges before, but, and so on this certain day, at this certain time, we were just going to do a pretty much an advanced rifle marksmanship. And so naturally, since we're, in charge of it as, our company, we're already, doing our checks and balances, making sure that we're getting everything ready to go. And so during the planning and preparation, for this range, right, as the one who was spearheading this, I had a master plan. What I wanted to do to facilitate, getting everyone ready to go and, speed up the iterations out there, I wanted to grab, like 100 magazines from supply. Just 100 extra magazines, and like we could just bring that out in a box, and like the minute we get out there as the advanced party, right, we could go ahead and just start loading those up. So when the main body was to come in, right, and get ready to shoot, we would have everything ready to go, and just keep moving. So aside from everything else, as far as the con op, make sure the timeline's good and sustainment, right, everything looked great. And so when it came to troops to task, I knew exactly who was going to go with who, right? I was going to go on that early arrival to get to that range to lock it down. And I was going to be the one to grab that box of magazines. And so I've already briefed my battalion command team. I briefed everyone, on who was doing what, and that, what I would bring it out to facilitate this, to go faster. Well, long story short, on the morning of, right, as we went out, I 100% forgot to bring the box of 100 magazines that I went through to secure and work to bring out there. And it wasn't until I got out to the range that I realized that I left it back. So aside from setting up everything, right, we kind of just had to wait for, the soldiers to get out there to begin loading the ammo, which ended up wasting time. And so naturally, the people above me were going to be pissed because I said, exactly what was going to go on according to the timeline, and I already messed that up. And so when they did come out, right, and they realized that we were just standing around waiting now, I got the, like, what happened? And so again, the best thing you could do, right, is take ownership. So before, more words could get put out, I went up and I explained, hey, this is my fault. I totally messed this up. I forgot it back there. I reached out to the guys in the back, and they brought out that box. And so instead of letting, leadership, start getting amped and, getting ready to go hard on everyone, right, I just immediately assumed that blame, and I just let them know, hey, it is my fault. It's not theirs. I'm messed up. And I can tell you now, almost immediately, they chilled out, to the point where even my sergeant major at the time was just like, okay, well, I appreciate you being honest. Let's figure out how we can move forward. And boom, that's it. Now, trust me, right? I get it. It is hard to do that with other things. Like, I could sit here and tell you all kinds of crazy things and things I've been told to do that just didn't sound right. But again, there is an art to it, and I highly encourage you to just learn to take ownership. Okay, I'm gonna give you like one more example. Like, if you are a squad leader, right, or a platoon sergeant, and I'm saying this because I've dealt with this, as a first sergeant. Let's just say you're upset that you're a squad leader and your platoon sergeant or PL, they're always asking you questions to the point where you feel micromanaged, and this could be you could feel the same way as a platoon sergeant. You have the company commander doing the same thing. I've heard the complaints, right, like, oh, I always feel like I'm being micromanaged. And I get it, right? I get how that can feel frustrating, but again, I would challenge you to turn around and take ownership. So like maybe your PL is, more, he wants to be more involved, right? Maybe he just wants to get a better understanding. So turn around and just say, what can I do to help him feel, or her feel, more comfortable at what I'm trying to do, whether it's with training or, planning, whatever. learning to turn around and do that, try to get better as an individual, and then see if that helps. That should help, right? Because once they feel more comfortable and everything, they'll usually let off. And lastly, if it's getting to the point where you feel like it's creating crazy amount of friction, then yes, 100% reach out. And that's where I would come in, as a first sergeant, or reach out to your leadership. Like, that's what the chain of command's for, to just go ahead and address that and see how we can help, make this a team effort and streamline processes. And lastly, just because I'm telling you to take ownership doesn't mean you need to take ownership of illegal or immoral or unethical orders. Like, if it is flat out illegal or something crazy that they're telling you to do, then 100% you need to reach back out, ask for more clarification. All right, that is a great way to like try and re-engage things, is ask for more clarification. But if it's like flat out something crazy illegal, just stop it. Don't do it, right? And then highly recommend going through your chain of command to alleviate the issue. But 99% of the time, that's usually not the case. But don't confuse illegal with inconvenient, all right? Those are two separate things that I'm talking about right now. And a lot of things we get told to do in the Army are usually kind of inconvenient. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the second portion, which are, what are my favorite kind of boots? And I'm going to change the color in the background because I want to see what you guys think, and let me know, in the comments if you guys would like to see different colors, as I could do any color. But I figured blue as my first video would be the best, just because of the whole infantry vibe. Okay, so this is my lighter background, right? I'm thinking of doing like, different colors for different themes. I might do, the blue for like news. I might do this for just talking how I'm talking to y'all now. And I might do red for like, y'all need to lock in. This is something serious. But anyway, on to the second topic. So what are my favorite kind of boots? And so I'm going to tell you right now, my favorite boots are the Oakley Assaults. What are they? The Light Assaults 3. And I'll have a photo right here just for reference. Those boots I've done, damn near everything in. Like, I've taken those out of a box and I've gone on a 18-mile Norwegian ruck march, and I did just fine with no blisters or anything. And so I do like those boots for anything, related to, running, moving with a ruck. I'll be just fine, right? On like some, general terrain. I've done it in everything, right? But the only problem with those boots is they will not last long in like some heavy field stuff or in mountains. Like, I'm talking Afghanistan mountains, like those things will get shredded up so fast. Now, for boots that can handle everything but are on the heavier side, I'm going to recommend Garments, right? The Garments T8 Bifidas. Usually everyone just calls them the heavies, right? The heavy Garments. Now, those boots take a while to break in, right? You can't just pull those out of the box and go crazy with them, or it's going to suck. But once you break those bad boys in, man, they are like butter. Like, those things can handle damn near anything and everything. They just take a while to break in. Now, my favorite pair before that were the Under Armours, but it looks like they just, they stopped using those. It was the loadout 3s. I think they now have the TAC loadout 3s, but I haven't tried those out, so I'm not gonna recommend them yet. What would I recommend to you, right? You as the viewer. I highly recommend to try every boot in whatever military store you stop by. If you go to, the PX, or if you go to, whatever store around your base, right? Just because what I like doesn't mean you need to get it, right? What I highly recommend is that when you go buy your next pair of boots, you need to spend like 30 minutes plus trying on every pair of boot that store has. Because I'm telling you now, the shoe sizes, they vary, right? Especially on the brand and the width of your foot. And you do not want to speed up the process of just trying to buy a last-minute boot. Because I'm telling you now, it will cost you in the long run. And what I mean by that is you're going to, it could cost you by getting your feet hurt, blisters, right? Like, it's not fitting properly. Like your feet are so important in the military, because you do damn near everything while standing, rucking, jumping out of airplanes, right? Patrolling. Like, the last thing you want to worry about is your feet getting messed up because you got too big of a boot. And I'm telling you now, the minute your feet start going out, right, because you didn't size appropriately, and you start getting pain out there while you're on like a 2-day patrol, it's only going to get worse, and then everything else has second and third order effects. But again, it's all based on your feet, right? Like some boots, like I can't wear certain boots because I have, pretty wide feet and I've got some flat feet, right? And some boots don't feel comfortable, and it's just, it is what it is. Okay, so that is it for my first, official video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm definitely going to try and do some more long form content. And lastly, let me know what you think in the comments, right? Whether you want to see more videos like this where I'm just talking to you guys as, in raw form, or if you would like to see the whole military news idea on here on YouTube as well, or if you want to see me talk about something else like military history, or bring up topics like that, I have no problem. I'm pretty flexible, and I've always tried to like do what viewers requested, right? So let me know what you think in the comments. And lastly, also let me know what you think about whether you guys would want to see different color scheme for backgrounds. Have a great day.